UFC Fight Night Moicano versus Duncan takes place tomorrow, and I figured I'd go ahead and give my predictions for the main card. This is an absolute piss poor card, and I'm sure there's not a lot of fighters on here that y'all know, hence why I'm only doing the main card. But if you want to go ahead and jump just to the main event, because that's all you know, I will have the time links in the description below. And before we jump in, if y'all could like, comment, share, subscribe, it really helps. But let's go ahead and jump straight into it. This is going to be a pretty short video. The opener of Jose Delano versus Robert Ruchala. Now, Robert Ruchala, he obviously is coming off of a loss, but it was a UFC debut, and Jose Delano is having his UFC debut. But the thing about Robert Ruchala is he's nothing special. He didn't look great in his debut, even though he lost. Like, it was still a close fight, but he was just vulnerable. He looked more defensive, but not in a good way. Like, he just looked like he was trying to survive the fight, taking a lot of damage, and his opponent, Jose Delano, is a very good clean striker. He floats on the outside. Obviously not a whole lot of power, but he's looking to land, and he uses really good footwork with it. And he's got pressure, man. And I think against a guy like Ruchala, who, like, even if he has some level of takedowns, I think Delano is going to be able to stop those takedowns and maybe gas Ruchala out, you know, just putting that pressure on him and probably find a TKO in the later rounds. I really think volume and pressure is going to be everything going into this matchup, and Ruchala just hasn't proven that he has either of those. And Delano has proven it on his regional scene. He beat a lot of guys coming up. I think these are some road to, what is it? Not the Contender Series, but the other one, the road to the UFC gloves. But anyway, we're taking Jose Delano to win probably by round 2, round 3 KO, TKO. But a decision could happen. We move on. Tommy McMillen versus Manolo Zechine. I'll be real, I don't know too much about his opponent, Manolo Zechine. He's obviously a UFC fighter. What's his momentum looking like? If we can get these stats to pad in. They're not gonna they're not gonna show up in a second. But Tommy McMillen, I know a lot about. I'm sure you know a lot about. He is Sean O'Malley's protege, essentially. He's training at, what is it, the MMA lab with like Batista, O'Malley, you know, Welch being the coach there. He's 9-0. He had a war on the Contender Series and like styling and profiling just like O'Malley. Took a bit more damage, made it a bit closer than I'd like, but it is what it is. His opponent, Manolo Zechine, obviously coming off of a loss, decent record, but he's much smaller than McMillen. And I think it's going to favor McMillen here because while McMillen is very flashy and likes to strike, the dude has very good grappling. What are his win bias? Is it, yeah, his like number one finishing instinct is a sub, followed by a knockout, followed by a decision. So he's going for the kill, right? And even though Zechine obviously has some really good KO power himself, I think McMillen's got a decent enough chin to stand and bang with him and maybe get comfortable and then find the takedowns that he wants to get. I understand these aren't there. But the dude's got really good grappling. Like, I could see him, you know, using his frame. He's got 4 inches in height, 6 inches in reach. That's 3 inches in arm. That's quite a lot. And his leg reach, too. So he's just all around bigger. I think he's going to be able to frame on Zechine, put him up against the cage, body lock him, crunch him down to the mat, get his back. And I think he could even use his frame to outstrike him, just move in and out of range. If Zechine ever tries to jump into the pocket, being the smaller guy, probably Tommy closes the distance, finds a takedown, some nasty ground and pound. This could go any which way, but I think I'm going to take Tommy McMillen. I'm going to believe in the hype. He's looked good. He's got O'Malley. Even though they're not the greatest in terms of grappling, their opponent is not a grappler. So we're taking McMillen by finish or a war of a decision. This guy's never in a boring fight. We move on to Ethan Ewing versus Rafael Estevam. Ethan Ewing, the Funko Pop that he is, the dude's built like Pops from regular show. He's really good. I am a Georgia native, and he took on Georgia prospect Malcolm Wellmaker. I'm sure that name rings a bell. On short notice, and he's a construction worker, and he beat him. Obviously, he didn't get the finish, but he decisively won. I want to say all 3 rounds. He was faster. He has really good IQ and movement for the game. You see him feint and kind of frame and really not like try to force any exchanges. Just kind of feel the guy out, get flow, and go, okay, when I frame off of this, he's leaving that open. Like, Ethan Ewing is a very put-together striker. But his opponent, Rafael Estevam, is very good. The dude's a very high-intensity grappler. He's a very high-intensity grappler. He's going to put pressure on Ewing early in the fight because Ewing's got the hands and he's got power. Wellmaker's got a chin and he's willing to stay in there and he's tough as nails, but Ewing has power and hands, right? And he's got a good bit of takedowns on the side of him. He's 100% takedown defense. So when you're looking at this fight objectively, you're going to go, Estevam's going to really try to grapple Ewing to even win, but to get him tired mainly and take some of the zap out of his shots. And I think that Ewing should have good enough of takedown defense. He'll probably get taken down at one point, but I think his takedown defense should be good enough to allow him to keep the cardio in over 3 rounds really start to put that pressure on Estevam. And these grapplers, man, I mean, if they're not Dagestani, like, towards the second or third round of, like, intense grappling to, like, survive, like, you will, man. And Estevam, I understand, is an undefeated guy. I could be wrong here. He's got the Tai Tuivasa Jiu-Jitsu tattoo. I just think Ethan Ewing's really well put together. He hasn't shown that he has a weakness in the grappling, so I'm going to trust that he has enough of a defense to keep Estevam off of, like, really good position or finishing sequences. And I think Ewing's going to be able to keep it on the feet and really put some mustard and pepper on Estevam and find just damage over 3 rounds. Do I see a finish? I don't know. That all depends on Estevam's cardio. He's undefeated, so he has confidence, but has he seen, you know, where Ethan Ewing can take guys like Wellmaker, like just frustrate them by outboxing them, denying any takedowns or grappling exchanges. So we're taking Ethan Ewing by decision. We move on. Abdul Rahman Yakhyaev. I thought it was like Yakhyaev. That might be another guy. Versus Brenton Ribiero. I think you know who I'm taking here. This is essentially a lamb to the slaughter. I understand. Don't get me wrong. Ribiero looks horrifying. Like you would not want to see him in an alley late at night. But the guy is a can. He's an Austin Lane of some sort. Obviously, that's a bit disrespectful considering how bad Austin Lane is, but he's a freakishly large guy who doesn't really use it well, clearly, and can't hang. Jesus Christ, what a stat. But I think, Yakhyaev is just a demon. I understand he's 8-0, so there's not a lot, so obviously the stats are going to be a bit skewed if he's going up against just middle-of-the-road guys. But I don't think Ribiero's the guy to stop him. I think the striking as well as the grappling is just going to be too much for Ribiero. I'd probably see like a ground and pound finish for Yakhyaev, or maybe like a TKO, like he hurts him standing and then drops him or something. Either way, this has to be like one of the biggest locks on the card. I don't understand how odds haven't populated in by Friday morning, but Yakhyaev's just well-rounded. He's got finishing instinct on the striking and the grappling, and Ribiero's just nothing special, man. That's all there is to it. We move on to Jesus. Oh, did I accidentally click on Tabitha? Sorry. Verna Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. This is a tough one. Because obviously we've seen Tabitha Ricci semi-fraud check, but she seemed to have come back in a big way. She's still pretty young in her career. She's got a lot of hype. She's very aggressive, very aspirational, and she believes in herself, which is very good. Her boyfriend's a UFC industry plant, all good. But Verna Jandiroba, it has been a mainstay of the division. She's got a pretty good record. I think this was like Connor's record when he came into the UFC or something like that. Like a pretty well-rounded thing. And she's got a decent game of striking mixed in with the grappling, but she just came off of a war against Mackenzie Dern in which I think people thought she was robbed. But the fact that that fight was so low skill in a way kind of makes me confident for Ricci. Because I feel like maybe she has made the adjustments to come back and not make the same mistakes that she did against earlier matchups. Like, just having a bit more of a veteran mindset. I don't know how many years she's been in the UFC, but she's grown in the UFC. She has good finishing instinct, but she definitely tries to mix it up. I think she'll go tit for tat with Jandiroba in the grappling. I don't think there's going to be anything crazy there. And same thing, essentially. She honestly outdoes Verna Jandiroba within the striking. So I think it's just going to be a bit of that. A classic women's MMA 29-28 decision where maybe Jandiroba won a round and then thinks she won another one, but Tabitha clearly won. I just think Tabitha's going to be very good about getting her striking off early, and any offense that Jandiroba tries to get with the grappling, Ricci's going to be able to reverse it or even, go on the offensive. And even if she wants, I think she'll be able to disengage and find striking again. I just think that Jandiroba's a little bit too over the hill. I could be wrong. Jandiroba could have a y'all must have forgot performance and show that Ricci's just still not that level, which would kind of suck because I feel like Ricci's already been taught that lesson. I can't remember who she lost against, but it was like a pretty good lesson, like a fight to take away and pick up what you need to work on. So I'm really just kind of going off of momentum here. Ricci seems to be coming into her own. Jandiroba seems to be one foot out the door. A very, very close competitive fight with Mackenzie during the big 2025. That's when that fight happened. It does not make me confident in your ability to be up-and-comers like Ricci. I understand she's faced adversity, but they can grow. Jandiroba's a bit older. I think she's near the end of her career. She doesn't have any threat on the feet. The most she has is probably her ground game and try to dominate over the distance, which I think Tabitha is going to be keen to and able to defend. So we're taking Tabitha Ricci by decision. We move on to the main event of the evening. Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan. Moicano, my hairline twin. That's why I'm wearing a hat. Dude's coming off of a loss. Who did he lose to? It wasn't was it Beneil? Hold on, this is gonna irk me. I feel like he got one more in there after this, no? Or has it been that long? No, wow. Okay, it was the Benil fight. That's not good. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, you guys. Fernando Moicano beat Benoit Saint-Denis. Holy shit, dude. And Benoit has looked good. I understand you could say it was just probably one of the worst ways that fight could have ever gone. Like, if you, 9 times out of 10, BSD beats Moicano, there'd be some part of my brain that go, fuck, he's probably right, dude, because, I mean, a lazy body kick from BSD immediately into a body lock into full mount for an entire round. You don't see that often in a Moicano fight. So as much as I do feel like that was a very good performance, that shows that he still has that killer instinct. I think that was a 1 in 10 chance of happening. I think if BSD doesn't get taken down immediately like that, he probably survives whatever story Moicano has, and I think BSD is much more durable than Moicano in the long run of things. And don't forget, that fight was stopped via the doctor, I think, not even by BSD. He wanted to keep going, but regardless, it's tough because Moicano has proven that he is sneakily still good. He's a veteran of the game. And even though he knocked down Benil Dariush, he kind of just got outdid over 3 rounds after that, or the 2 rounds after that. But Chris Duncan, man, these guys trading together. They did their weight cut in the same room, apparently. Chris Duncan is on a 4-fight win streak, I believe, and the dude is a violent finisher. I mean, he got hurt bad in his Dana White Contender Series fight against that one guy, and then came back and slept him while rocked, so he has good control under pressure. Excuse me. Sorry, just a ton of, like, mucus in my throat and my nose. I'm trying not to, like, make too much noise. I'm about to wrap up the video here. But Chris Duncan, really good, powerful striking, backed up with grappling. And I understand, bro, it's Money Moicano. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. Moicano's just frail, man. He's kind of chinny. You know, it's tough. And I think I'm taking this one just off the same way I'm taking the co-main. Momentum. I understand Moicano had a very good win over BSD, but I think when you look at it in terms of his career in the past, let's say, 5 fights, he hasn't been on the best trajectory. He had a chance at the top, kind of fumbled it. He wanted an easy fight and then got the final boss on short day's notice thanks to Arman. And he got the win over BSD, like I said, but I think Chris Duncan is a very good rising prospect. I'd be surprised if Moicano had another show them whippersnappers how it's done performance. I really do think Duncan's coming into his own here. The dude's got very good finishing capability. He's durable. He's hungry. He's aggressive. I think he's got some kids and stuff. Like, I understand Moicano does too, but Moicano's old. He's got money. He's been streaming his ass off. You know, great for him. Like, I am all for UFC fighters focusing on a career after the UFC, especially if they're not a champion, because sometimes being a champion can just carry you into a career. Like, we see Jones hasn't done too much to, like, build his brand. He's just Jones, Bones, Jones. But Moicano's never been champ material, man. So people don't know Moicano in the way that they would know, like, a Makhachev or a Volk, because the dude was just never champ. And understand, he's funny, and he's got, like, memes about him, and Money Moicano, I can't afford to lose. That was, like, 2-3 years ago. But it's good that he's setting up a career after this with streaming. I just think that's kind of a bad look when you're going into a main event against a guy who wants it, who's in the UFC, like, still pretty new. Like, he's in his I'm going to build my worth phase, when Moicano's already like, I'm just still getting paid really good bucks for being here. And that's not to say that Moicano can get this done. That's not to say Moicano's not locked in. I'm just saying maybe a younger, hungrier Moicano would be able to handle a Chris Duncan, but I don't think the Moicano of 2026 is going to be able to handle him. So we're taking Chris Duncan probably by finish, man. Moicano's good, but he's not durable. If his opponent's really starting to put damage on him, he tends to will. We saw it against Fizea. We've seen it against Aldo. And yeah, it sucks. If Moicano proves me wrong, I'd be very happy. It'd be very funny. But we're taking Chris Duncan by KO TKO. That's the video, guys. If you like my content, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below who you have for the main event. This is a pretty weak one, but I guess there is a bit of a challenge in terms of who you're going to pick. But that's where I'm going to wrap up the video. So yeah.